Good evening, everyone. Yet again, it's my great pleasure to welcome Dr. Adityanjee on Natsecanalysis. Sir, good evening and welcome. Sir is a very renowned geopolitical analyst, apart from being a very famous psychiatrist who's based out of the US. So, today I'm going to ask some questions which I have, and I've been wanting to speak to Sir about it also because he's based out of the US and what's the environment there. While the US is the world power and it has the economic dominance, sometimes I do feel that they are also kind of a bully, the way they handle their foreign policy and the way they behave with other countries. What is your take on that, sir?
So first of all, Captain Nikita Sahay, thank you very much indeed for inviting me on your platform, Natsecanalysis. That's the first thing. I guess we have to understand that geopolitics is a very brutal game. And if you are the superpower, your job is to remain as the superpower and prevent emergence of any new power that could challenge you. And if you see post-World War II era, there were two superpowers that were balancing each other.
True,
and
sir.
they continue to balance each other. But what United States did was it brought the third factor, that is China, and boosted China as a counterweight to Soviet Union. And what that led to was breakup of Soviet Union. But without their realizing, China attained now the status of a superpower. So in Western parlance, we can say that United States from 1972 onwards created a Frankenstein's monster. And if you look the Indian analogy, we would say that United States created a Bhasmasur in China.
In China.
Yes. Around 2005, United States administration openly stated that they would like to elevate India to superpower level. And then National Security Advisor, former National Security Advisor and Secretary of State, Condoleezza Rice, went on record to say that their aim is to elevate India to a superpower status, i.e. they wanted India to counterbalance China. And if you see last 2 decades, relationships have improved in all spheres, despite some issues here and there. But things did not go according to the plan. The reason for that is the concept of strategic autonomy or strategic independence exercised by India, again, irrespective of the governments of the day. And now you hear from the strategic establishment of United States that we are not going to commit the same mistake as we committed with China. I.e., we elevate India to a level that India could become, if not an adversary, then a peer competitor. So that is the fear they have, that they made a mistake. You have this common proverb, once bitten, twice shy. So they don't want to create another potential peer competitor, not necessarily an adversary, because India is not going into adversarial relationship with United States. But it may be economically a peer competitor, maybe in 10 years' time, 15 years' time. And what United States under the current administration is doing is exercising a crude foreign policy that has been pretty much decried by any major country, any major grouping, has not won any new friends to United States. And that is where your question comes, that United States acts as a bully. So in geopolitical terms, it's a reigning hegemon. And what does a hegemon do? It maintains its hegemony, not necessarily by cooperative engagement, benign engagement. So I didn't want to use the word bully, but that is what it is. It's a hegemon, and the hegemon will try to prevent a rising hegemon to challenge its power. It may use, certain vassal states or client states to fulfill its objectives, to maintain its supremacy. And that is what we need to understand, that geopolitics is very brutal. These are not lovey-dovey, friendships
Thoughts.
in geopolitics. So need to understand that.
Absolutely, sir. So when you say that India has the potential to compete with the US in an economic aspect, when we speak about that, which kind of looks little far-fetched right now with rupee losing its value, very frequently. But when you say that thing, so do you think that, of course, US is, it's intelligent, policymakers are very bright people, so maybe because they gauge that thing, that is why they are also trying to, again, I would say the word bully or push India back into its, be in your own boots kind of thing through all this tariff, idea, that because they have not really implemented it. They keep manipulating. Okay, fine. One more month. Slow manipulation.
So I will start with the basics first. Yes, rupee is depreciating against the dollar, but rupee is not depreciating against other currencies. So that is something we need to, there's a divide there. So India had achieved the 5th status in the GDP and was going into the 4th till all this depreciation of rupee happened. So we are behind now Japan, US, China, Japan and Germany, and Germany and Japan, and now India. And there was the issue about whether UK transiently displaced India or something like that. But that is in the nominal GDP category. If you look in terms of purchasing power, GDP assessed in terms of purchasing power, the highest GDP is that of China, followed by that of United States.
Okay.
And in terms of purchasing power, India's GDP is 3rd largest.
Not bad.
Yeah, in terms of purchasing power. So it's what metric you see. So despite these transient issues about depreciation of rupee, India still is on a trajectory where economic growth and development will continue. And that will continue with the current government or any other government that comes, because there is a momentum. There's a momentum in the industry, in the MSME sector, in all other sectors. So there are a number of factors. And once you have brought the genie out of the bottle, you cannot cork it back into the bottle. So Indian economy is on a trajectory. There may be delays and hiccups, but it will be there. So nobody can discount a rising India, whether that is China, whether that is EU, or whether that is United States. They still have to be worried about India's economic potential. And what is you're seeing in terms of tariffs, that tariffs are being used by a current US administration to keep India in check. Yes, there is no doubt about it. You don't like foreign policy decisions, so you put tariffs in an impulsive manner. That is what is happening.
If you not listen to me, I'll manipulate you still, but in another way.
Yes. Having said that, India is a country that has been sanctioned by United States maximum number of times from 1947 onwards. So India has experience of dealing with US economic sanctions and other sanctions. Remember, after 1974 Pokhran Smiling Buddha nuclear explosion, there were multiple sanctions on India. In 1998, after the second nuclear test, there were economic sanctions. And in last 2 decades, they tried to remove some of the sanctions here and there. But India has been heavily sanctioned. How many times the 301 law has been used to target India as, a currency manipulator, or India is not a market economy, or using anti-dumping duties. So this is not the first time United States has used this one way or the other. And they will continue to do, because that's all they know. They know, use economic sanctions to, quote unquote, keep certain countries in check. Will India buckle down to this pressure? Probably no. What India is trying to do is diversifying its energy sources. India has already diversified its, arms procurement and developing a kind of public-private, partnership in terms of developing indigenous military-industrial complex. So there's no reason for India to feel upset or be cowed down or bullied by the threat of US sanctions, because these sanctions will be counterproductive on United States itself.
But sir, when you say, sir, that we don't need to be upset, and also like previously you were speaking about some of the crude tactics which is being used by the US to cow us down. When we speak of our industrialists, this is just a minor, I'm diversion I'm taking. When we speak of Adani, and when we speak of USA's crude tactics, all right, it needs to stay superpower because it's used to being the superpower. But then bullying Adani and also into committing to a $10 billion investment, and then taking away all the cases against him, which the Department of Justice had filed against Adani of bribing officials to get its deals done. And suddenly all the cases null and void.
I think that's a very, very interesting example of US use of economic dominance to target certain countries. And this is again not the first time. Various techniques are used in the toolbox to again maintain US economic hegemony. And this is again one part of it. People have forgotten the Hindenburg report.
The Hindenburg report. Nothing came out of it.
That started with targeting Adani group of companies. Why suddenly a small research company would be started in United States that, which is basically shorting the market kind of thing, making small amount of money, but focusing particularly on Adani? I think, again, there were deeper reasons which were not obvious. And after being in operation for 3-4 years, what happens to Hindenburg Research Company? It folded itself, which means it was an instrument of state for foreign policy or geopolitical objectives. Now, you are saying that, Adani agreed to invest $10 billion in United States economy and everything is forgiven, or whether they were trumped up charges or not for Adani Group, and I have nothing to do with them. But sometimes, it's better to pay the bribe one way or the other, or, cooperate with hafta vasuli, if people understand that term. It is hafta vasuli, there's no doubt about it. But look at this thing. Around the same time, South Korea was pressurized to invest $350 billion. Japan was forced to invest $600 billion. Saudi Arabia, initially there was like $700-800 billion, and then more than $1 trillion. Tactic is the same. That one's superpower, which has been in economic dominance, controls the world financial systems because of the reserve currency dollar, is in a relative economic decline, is burdened with external debt, which is now $39 trillion, although the economy is around $32 trillion or something like that. So there's more external debt than the GDP, and there's internal debt also. We are just talking about external debt. So this is a superpower, an economic behemoth that is in relative decline. So how they want to deal with it? They are using economic coercion.
Yes, sir.
Other countries to invest in US economy and not share the profits, Because part of this investment scheme is that they will not repatriate the profits will stay in United States. So what United States is trying to do using tariffs and all these gestures is to save US economy's decline and make sure that US economy does not default on its debt obligations, because the servicing of the debt has become a major problem. So Adani is just a small piece. In India, yes, Adani is mentioned, brings out political, all these things. But people don't understand that it may be a business group, but the target is what? The nation of India.
Yes, sir. That's true.
It does not mean that Adani is India. I'm not trying to say that. And it does
but
not.
But he's working towards the.
Yeah. Because, there is a cycle for businesses. There was a time that Tata, Birlas were big industrialists. Right now it is Adani and Ambani. And if they are investing in strategic locations like Haifa port or something like that, then what way to, focus on the country, then incapacitate the capability of the industrialists of that country to conduct business in a normal manner.
It's hitting us below the belt.
Yes.
Sir, I also wanted to ask you, when we speak of China and India, and US did try very frantically while China started, transforming into a superpower, but China still persisted. It still became what it had to become. So now coming down to the foreign policy of India versus China, I would say, how is China's foreign policy better? How could they navigate through it? And why, India always feels, it always feels as if India is completely on its own. We have no one. But somehow with China, we always feel they still have better relations with other countries.
So I think we have to understand how China operates. We have to understand the differences in systems. China is an autocracy, a dictatorship of Communist Party. Although they are now become capitalist, but still it is a dictatorship of a one-party system. So that
so
is.
We have to give up on our. I'm sorry to interrupt, sir. So do we have to give up on our democratic way of thinking?
Not necessarily, but we have to inculcate a sense of discipline and a sense of long-term planning. You have to control the subversive agents, what is called the toolkit or the deep state influences, because in India that has always been an issue, and that has its own impact on what happens in the system. It has come now even from the platform of the Supreme Court that people who are quote unquote social activists, I will not use the name, are delaying all the growth and development projects because any major project that is undertaken is challenged essentially by a PIL.
About environmental. Yeah.
PIL for environmental reasons, for this reason, for that reason, for displacement of people. And to the extent that even the Chief Justice had to make a comment about it. It does not happen in China. Chinese, despite the party rule, Communist Party rule, are fiercely nationalistic people. And they always plan long term. Whereas in India,
our system is faulty.
Strategic culture is lacking, has lacked since 1947.
Because of so many different secularism and everything, because you are practicing everything, so you don't have a single unique identity.
That is there. I think the governments after governments have been reactive in their conduct of foreign policy, have not been proactive.
Including the present one, would you say that?
To a certain extent. Although it is definitely last 12 years has been a big improvement on what was there before, but we are not there yet. We have to bring, if I may use a word, of this great son of the state of Bihar, Jai Prakash Narayan, total revolution in thinking, strategic thinking. total revolution in strategic thinking. Otherwise, India is being assaulted from all the sides.
We are being assaulted because we are not all in with our thought process. We are like, okay, little bit of this also, little bit of this also.
Yeah. So you need to have a coherence. You need to have a long-term institutional processes in place. You have to have your strategic goals very well defined, not necessarily broadcast from a loudspeaker to all and sundry, but you have to have those things defined. And you have to take care of issues that are adversely impacting upon your economic growth, development, other things. They are very simple things, Now, of course, there is this, issue about infiltrators, illegal immigrants who have come from not just one country, but from multiple countries in the neighborhood. That problem has been there for almost 3 or 4 decades. Since the Bangladesh war, it has been there and has not been sorted out for one reason or the other. Similarly, if you see what has been called the deep state or the toolkit gang, there was a copper plant in Tamil Nadu, Tuticorin. What happened? There was an agitation. There were PILs filed. The plant was closed. What happened after that? India became a net importer of copper, which is so important. So there are examples like these are small examples, but that tell you the trend.
They want us to keep importing and not have our own resources. When we keep importing, they charge so much tax, and that is why also rupee is kind of struggling.
Exactly. During the UPA government, there was an agitation again in Tamil Nadu at Kudankulam nuclear power plant by some environmental activists under the Christian church. And, even that government had to say that these are anti-national elements, and they had to invoke U.A.P.A. against more than 1,000 of people. So it's not that the government of the day realized that agitation was sponsored from elsewhere. It was not an indigenous Indian grassroots movement against nuclear power. There was a definite objective to it, that Kudankulam nuclear plant, there are 6 units or something like that, was being sort of sponsored or in collaboration with the Russian Federation. And there were certain powers that did not want India to collaborate on nuclear energy with the Russian Federation. So you had the result like that. Taiwan invests in Bengaluru in a Foxconn factory for preparing advanced microchips. What happens? Communist controlled unions go on strike and they vandalize the plant. You have to connect the dots that India is under assault from multiple sources.
Yes, sir.
And you said that India is isolated. Yes, India is isolated. I have written an article on the doctrine of Indian exceptionalism. And one should not have any sort of, romantic views of our relationships with other quote-unquote friendly countries. When push comes to shove, India stands alone. And we have seen that repeatedly. So what you need to do is to develop your own spine. That is just the popular lingo. But in geopolitical terms, it means develop your comprehensive national strength. Don't think of this country that will help you. Unless you develop your own comprehensive national strength in all spheres, you will not be able to tackle some of these challenges. So there can be optics about XYZ visiting and some handshakes and whatever. But ultimately, each nation caters to its own strategic needs. And in that process, India is very isolated because, is not part of the Western Alliance. It's not part of the Islamic Ummah or OPEC, IOC countries. It's not a petroleum exporting country. It's not part of the communist world, former communist or socialist world. It is not part of the Caucasian countries, the Five Eye Alliance. So in all respective ways,
no camps.
Yes, you are not part of any camps because you have a unique position because of historical and civilizational reasons, and you need to understand that. And you need to develop capacities and capabilities concurrently while you're dealing with these challenges. And unless you have clarity about this, that yes, this is what we have to do, and not be deterred by some artificial, self-imposed inhibitions. Like we are a peaceful nation, why do we need an army? Why do we need a strong army? Not the first, but the second prime minister said that India does not need an army, a police force will be fine because we have no enemies. I mean, how delusional that person was.
Delulu, true.
Yes, the modern lingo is delulu, but as a psychiatrist, I'll say delusional. So we had, self-imposed ceilings or injunctions that prevented the rise.
Very exceptional situation we are in. Absolutely, sir. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
All right. So that's the whole thing, sir. I was really wanting to understand that in the name of being a veto power, a superpower, and as you rightly summed up, that we have a very civilizational and cultural background.
Similarly, I've seen, attempts to infiltrate Myanmar, and through Myanmar, Indian state of Manipur. But by whom? 6 Ukrainians and 1 US deep state operative. So things are happening in India's neighborhood, which United States is trying to do to possibly ring off China. But that will also be bad for India, because it's not that China is getting ringed around, getting a fence around itself. There is a fence around India also coming up that way. So this rhetoric of, two democracies marching hand in hand is not going to work, because United States, push comes to shove, will drop any pretense of friendship and will achieve its own strategic objectives rather than help India or whatever. So you need to have your own course charted.
Strategy. Yes, sir. Absolutely. Thank you so much, sir, for joining me today and having this very enlightening and amazing deep conversation on US's behavior as a bully, as I would call it. I'm calling US, and also how it basically humbles other countries into submission rather than into a like a cooperation which should be between countries through a foreign policy.
Captain Nikita, if you may allow me, give me the privilege of bringing an additional issue.
Absolutely,
sir. In India's domestic circles, there's some issue about this Delhi Gymkhana club.
Oh, yes.
And the government trying to take over the land from the club on grounds of national security, and there are people who are entrenched in their elite club.
Deep state people.
Yeah, they don't like it or whatever. And there was a recent article in India Today by, I think, a journalist, Sandeep Punithan, and he wrote a story about how that particular club was used by CIA operatives to infiltrate India's security establishment to steal a manual on T-20 Soviet tanks in 70s and 80s. And they were successful in actually bribing or whatever, some double agent, photocopied the entire manual and returned it. So if those kind of things are happening, and that's not the only exception, I can tell you that during Atal Bihari Vajpayee's time, the PMO had been infiltrated by certain agencies. There was I think, chief of IB or RANW, Ratan Sehgal, who had been enticed by certain agencies.
They moved to US only, if I'm not.
No, that right. was Robinder Singh. He was a raw operative, Robinder Singh. And in fact, he became a double agent. In fact, he was transported suddenly while the counter-espionage agencies were looking after his behavior. He was taken to Nepal, and from Nepal he was sent to US. Apparently his sister lived in US, so they gave him a new identity to all, but after a while they dropped him like a hot potato and he died ignominiously. But Captain Ratan Sehgal, that was a sad story, because use of certain luxuries in life, like Scotch whiskey and access to certain females was used. Honey trap was used for him, and there were unaccounted meetings with US spy agencies that he could never account. So there have been incidents like that with US. So when you enter into partnership with US, you also need to understand that they will spy on any country, including yours. So you need to have your own counter-espionage operations in place and effective. And it's not just US. If Pakistan keeps on, using spies from Indian forces, low-level people, they bribe them, they entrap them in honey trap kind of thing on Facebook and all that sort of thing.
True.
So our system is lax. And if I may add, even China does that. There have been so many cases of Indian citizens being enticed by China, including journalists. I shall not name names, but there was a Delhi-based famous journalist who was arrested. Later on, of course, the charges were dropped because things could not be substantiated. But so all these countries are indulging in spying, including the United States, including the Russian Federation and former Soviet Union. What you need is a very strong counter-espionage system. And when I say that even current government is not totally effective, I had that in mind, that a strong nation needs strong economy, but needs strong armed forces, and also needs a strong counter-espionage system where we have failed, repeatedly failed.
Absolutely, sir. All right, thank you so much, Dr. Adityanjee. This Gymkhana issue is also very, very important, especially when we speak about national security. It's not just a club, it
Yeah.
became a place for all these people to gather together and hatch plans against the country and probably whatever they were doing and could have been doing. Thank you so much for joining me today, Dr. Adityanjee. And if you want to say anything else, sir, kindly please add.
Well, it was a pleasure to come back on Natsecanalysis platform,
Yes, sir.
Captain Sahay,
Yes.
and hope we'll have more meaningful conversations in future.
Absolutely, sir. Absolutely. And I'm looking forward to seeing you very soon.
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye bye, sir. Take care.